Now, Matt, the sports we're going to talk about today takes place in the mountains in the middle of the night. It's about racing, it's about climbing, descending, and not only that, 3 people are tied together. Now, this came about during the Swiss Army training days. Tell us more about it. Sounds terrible.
Well, it's the ultimate challenge. Patrouille de Glaciers, or the Glacial Patrol, started, as you say, in 1943 as a way of testing the Swiss armed forces. They ran it for a couple of years. 49, there was a disaster. Some teams fell down a glacier and they thought, no more. 84, it came back. Anyway, it's every 2 years and it's going to be taking place, like you said, over the next few days. What they do is they stagger the competitors. Why? Well, there's 1,600 patrols or 1,600 teams taking part. They go from Zermatt, as we know, Matterhorn, Chocolate Box, all that, which is 1,650 metres high. They go over several mountains, they go down to a roller, then they go over to Verbier. Now, it's 53 kilometres in a line. However, you go up 4,000 metres, you go down 4,000 metres. So if you're actually really doing it, it seems like 110 kilometres you're doing. Now, it is starting at the middle of the night. The first athlete's going to start Tuesday night, so tomorrow, at 10 o'clock. Then the next from the roller at 3 o'clock in the morning. Some go off on Friday and some go off on Saturday. But it's absolutely staggering what they're doing. It's a year or 2 years training to get to this level. They have to be good mountaineers. And like you're saying, they have a 30-metre rope that ties them together. And the poor person who has to carry the rope is an extra 3 kilograms down.
Mentally and physically tough, I can only imagine. Is there any fun to it, Matt?
I was speaking this morning to one of the legends. In fact, Florent Tolle, who I had on the phone earlier, he was actually the fastest ever time. He did it in 5 minutes, 52 seconds with his mates. And he said the best time for him was crossing the line. I said, did you ever think about stopping? He said, don't be silly. But it's all about, he said, pushing your limits, finding new limits, going as much as you can, and having pleasure. So yes, he was talking about huge amounts of pleasure on this course. Clearly, for most people, the time limit, by the way, is 16 hours. There's 5 time limits during the course, so if there is a problem, you can actually you can bail out. Are you by yourself? Well, no, not really. As I said, there's 1,600 competitors altogether, or teams altogether. 500 of those are from the Swiss Army, 45 other army taking place. And then we have something like 171 teams have the sense to go with a guide. 910 teams go by themselves. But are you alone? No. Well, there's 8,800 Swiss armed forces on the course to look after you. But going back to your question, is it fun? I think competing it is supposed to be, I haven't done it, by the way, is supposed to be the ultimate experience.
And it's an international competition and both men and women can join.
19% women, and it is therefore 81% men. Yes, this year we have Séverine Podcom. She's going for her 5th victory. Again, it's always talking about the team. You talk about the leader, I suppose. But yes, it's gradually going up. There's more and more women competing. And it's mixed teams as well. International actually welcome. I think there's about 330 teams altogether from overseas. But mentally, it's very much a Swiss activity. Is it costly? Well, it costs a bit to put forward your subscription. The whole budget is about 5.8 million Swiss francs. As I say, it's a huge affair, takes place every 2 years, and is expertly controlled by the Swiss Army. By the way, no drones allowed, because they have to have helicopter access if necessary. So it's, yes, starting from Tuesday, going to Saturday, Zermatt, by Irola, and they're finishing in Verbier. And they go as high as 3,650 metres. They're climbing up, as you see, with their skins on their skis. They're walking a lot. The start, by the way, the first 43 minutes for the winner a few years ago, Florent has mentioned, it took him, he was running. So imagine running with your skis and your boots and your backpack up a steep hill, all for fun.
In fact, I mean, you've got to be a mountain lover to take part in this competition. Just tell us about the stages. I understand that the first part is about carrying your skis. Then what happens?
Well, then you go down a bit, then you go up a bit, down a bit. There's about 5 or 6 quite high climbs. But yes, it's very much a case of you start in Zermatt, 10 o'clock tomorrow night, there'll be a lot of people cheering on in teams of 3. Then they run up a steep hill. Then you actually manage to put your skis on. Again, talking the reference times. So Florent Tolle, when I spoke to him, he spent over 2 hours with his actual skins on his skis. You can slide down quite a lot, but it's not just fun green runs and blue runs. This is pretty high-risk stuff, so often at the time. And what's interesting is most of these athletes don't actually live together. They train separately. So when they're actually tied together at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's pitch dark, there is problems. However, this week, it should be really, really good conditions. There possibly is going to be the fastest ever time.
Lovely. Well, sounds fascinating, Matt. Thank you very much for explaining all of that.
Thank you, Amanda.